Please come.
Confident.
Get in, sir.
Come.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sirs. Thank you, sir.
You can take off your mask unless you're sick.
No, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay, Pranav.
Sir.
Okay, Pranav, please introduce yourself to the board.
So my name is MALIYE Pranav. I'm from Guntur, Andhra Pradesh, where I was born and brought up, and I've done my primary schooling and secondary schooling as well. Later on, I went on to pursue my graduation in electrical and electronics engineering from Amrita School of Engineering, Coimbatore, and I've graduated from the university in 2018. From then on, I'm preparing for UPSC, sir.
2018, and then on you. So, how do you sustain yourself? Otherwise, I mean, since 2018, you've been preparing for the UPSC. How do you earn or maintain yourself?
My parents have been kind enough in supporting me, sir, for the past 5 years. They were like at my back, patting my back.
Okay,
in my attempts, sir.
Great. You've taken maths as your subject.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What can you tell me what a Fibonacci sequence is?
Fibonacci sequence is a sequence which has a golden ratio where a term is equivalent to the sum of two terms that precedes it. For example, the sequence goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 5.
What do you mean by term?
An element in the sequence, sir.
Element, or you would
For
call
example,
it an integer?
Every third integer, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, do you know who came out with the Fibonacci sequence in earliest history? Earliest recorded events?
I couldn't recollect, sir.
It was an Indian. And
I'm not aware of it, sir.
yeah, you can read up about it. It's been attributed to a chap called, a person called Pingala.
Yes, sir.
A Sanskrit poet who came out with these numbers and then the ratio also. And a lot of Indians have been credited with this, but ultimately it was an Italian who gave it to the world in 1280, 12th century, 1200 AD. Now, you've been reading non-fiction books. Which books do you read? Which is the latest book you've read?
The last book I have read is Sanjeev Sanyal's Revolutionaries, sir, which is about the revolutionary fighters in the freedom struggle. Before that, I have read this book called O Jerusalem, written by Dominic Lapierre, which is about the formation of State of Israel.
Okay. Now, Sanjeev Sanyal's book has led to a little controversy regarding, rewriting of history. So, what do you think about this? Should history be rewritten every time somebody feels, okay, no, this thing is missing, and they start writing history again? So that's what Sanjeev Sanyal is doing.
So I think history. I strongly feel that history needs to be redrafted, sir, because the history that we are reading now, I think, is still not talking about many things that have happened, many significant events that haven't happened in our history. For example, the down south, from my part of the nation, many freedom fighters were underrated or were undersung. For example, a freedom fighter like Konda Venkatapaya from my district Guntur, he has started a no tax movement during non-cooperation movement, even when Gandhiji was suspicious of it, that as it could lead to brutal suppression. So some initiatives like that, for example, the works of Alluri Sita Ramaraju. For example, we do have many evidences of Indus civilization, but we don't talk more about Sangam age. For example, recently we have many excavations showing evidence on it. So I think we need to have proper redrafting of the history, sir, such that it could be an all-round effort to cover many events.
So what you're saying is you can add on to the existing history, or you need to change what has already been written. That's what I'm asking.
So in case if it needs to be changed, I think it should happen based on rational basis through proper civil society, academia discussions rather than an unilateral effort. At the same time, there should be proper add-ons as well, sir.
Okay, so who decides the panel to which will change ultimately? Who decides to make a panel that, okay, these are the people whom we authorize to change or redraft our history? The present government or the civil society? What is civil society got to do with it? How will civil society decide whom to nominate to change history?
I think it's government that decides the panel on deciding the.
So the
reframing
government
of
will
the-
decide only one particular type of people. The lefts will be left out. Leftists will be left out.
I think it should be driven by consensus through representation of all sections of the society, sir.
So you think all these people will agree? Like Romela Thapar will agree with somebody who's totally of a different view about ancient history?
I think I'll look into it, sir. I need to have a proper reading of it.
Okay. Sir.
Pranav, you are from Guntur.
Yes, sir.
I believe there's a large scale tobacco cultivation in your area.
Sorry, sir.
Tobacco.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And the Telangana Tobacco Corporation also is based in Guntur, I think.
Yes, sir. The tobacco board is.
Tobacco board is in Guntur. Yeah. So there is now a big anti-tobacco lobby. So how do you reconcile this? Tobacco is a cash crop for that area. And there is an anti-tobacco lobby who opposes any tobacco cultivation. So how will you reconcile?
So I personally feel that there has been a decline in tobacco cultivation because many fields that used to promote tobacco cultivation nowadays we are playing cricket on those fields. But yes, sir, I think promoting tobacco in cigarettes for smoking is definitely it has impacts on our human capital growth, on the healthcare because we are having high disease burden. But I feel that there are other sectors as well in which tobacco can be used. For example, in the medicine or other sectors. I think so. The farmers needs to be nudged such that the cultivation is inclined towards those sectors, such that it be a win-win situation for both the government as well as the farmers. Such that even the anti-tobacco lobby, the voices of the anti-tobacco lobby can also be reconciled.
Okay, all right. Your parents have been bankers.
Yes, sir. Retired bankers.
Yeah, retired bankers. So, what is your view about this rising NPA?
So the recent RBI report says that there has been improvement in our there has been reduction in our net NPS, but overall NPA sector is highly acting detrimental to our Indian economy. Firstly, I think the main reason is the governance issues. With the top hierarchy of banking sector being opaque, certain decisions being concentrated, there has been issue in governance sector. At the same time, even the economy is going through certain disruptions such as the COVID-19 or post 2000, the credit boom that we have seen in 2011, post 2011. I think it's the matter of demand and supply issue, ultimately leading to loss of capital in the economy. So I think we also have taken initiatives such as S4A initiative, asset reconstruction companies that we have set up. Also, we are exploring this idea of bad banks. So I think we can be successful in reducing this issue as time passes, sir.
If all the lendings are on pure banking principles, then why NPA should increase? The principles are not followed, or loans are given on extraneous considerations, political influence.
So I do agree that the due diligence has not been followed by some banks. Due to, as we have said, sir, political interference is there, sir. Also, I think even the governance, as I've earlier said, needs to be reformed because it's mainly due to the public sector banks' governance that is leading to more NPAs. At the same time, I think even the restructuring of those bad loans has been quite low, but we are taking steps through our IBC or SARFA-IC Act. But I think the due diligence we need to promote through proper credit worthiness, having proper credit registries.
Okay. And what is your view about the T&D losses in electricity? You have done some, written some paper
Yes,
on this. So I want to know your views. Is it going up, going down? What are the causes?
So the T&D losses, mainly the AT&C losses, aggregate technical and commercial losses, amount up to 26% of the 26% of the losses in the T&D sector. There are many reasons. For example, billing in the discom sector, I think it has not been quite effective. We are not properly deploying our smart meters. Also, there has been issues of theft. Also, the issues of there are issues of proper feeder separation. There's no feeder separation in rural areas, that is creating burden on the distribution network. So even I've done a project on fall detection in transmission lines, which can create huge voltage losses in transmission line, where I've used signal processing methods. So I think certain initiatives through proper technological initiatives or management initiatives, also the operational initiatives in metering or collection, these needs to be taken such that we can reduce those T&D losses.
And what is your view about this free electricity?
So I think it is turning to be a bit stressful on the discom sector, because the free electricity is leading to cross subsidization, where industries are facing huge tariff burden. At the same time, not having proper feeder separation is leading to many demand supply issues. So I think even the state governments need to be a bit rational in their electricity policies, having proper bar such that it will not turn into a freebie, sir.
Okay. My last question. Have you heard of Vedic maths?
Vedic maths, sir? Yes, sir.
What is it?
Sir,
and is it still relevant?
Sir, it is propounded by Bharati Krishna Tirtha, where it uses certain Vedic principles in our arithmetic operations for quick results in addition, subtraction, like that, sir. It also bases on our Vedic heritage, such as the Sulva Sutras that we have, the Atharva Veda, which has Sulva Sutras talking about certain trigonometric principles. But still, it has not been explored in a proper way, sir. So I think I couldn't comment on how it is relevant now, sir. Thank you, sir.
Pranav,
Sir.
what are the ill effects of IPL on national cricket?
So firstly, I think given the players' workload, the players are playing IPL for 2.5 months. At the same time, they are due to that heavy burden, they are missing out on certain national tours. At the same time, it's commercializing game over the levels, such that the prioritization is towards the limited overs format or the T20 format. At the same time, it's also creating certain issues of misgovernance in the BCCI, certain opaqueness in how the transactions are held, how the sponsors are given.
You were a batsman or a bowler when you played for your college?
I'm a bowling all-rounder, sir.
Bowling all-rounder. Okay. What? Pace bowling or spin?
A pace bowling, sir.
Now, Iran and Russia recently connected their interbank communication and transfer system. Why did they do that?
So I think after the Ukraine war, USA along with the West has been sanctioning Russia. Also, it has been sanctioning those countries that are dealing with Russia in the fuel transactions. Also, given the over dollar dependency, so both the nations have decided to create a parallel track.
Has India also entered into similar arrangements with any country recently?
Yes, so we have opened Vostro accounts. We are talking with Russia, where RBI is trying to open Vostro accounts. Sir.
Any other country we have entered into similar arrangements?
So I think with Iran we have entered, sir, the Rupee-Rial agreement.
Now, Turkey and Syria recently suffered from earthquakes, and under Operation Dost, we sent some relief assistance and also NDRF teams to Turkey. Now, given Turkey's position on Kashmir and their strong ties with Pakistan, do you think it was worthwhile sending the relief assistance to them?
So I think India has always been a ethical, responsible player in the globe. We also have this idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So it's all about, we are just concerned about the global welfare. At the same time, we also have this neighborhood first policy, at the same time extended neighborhood first policy. So I think we are right in sending our HIDR, Humanitarian Assistance Disaster Relief, irrelevant of the opposite side's arguments, which highlights our credentials, sir, our democratic credentials and our responsibility.
In what way is NDRF different from our earlier relief efforts within India?
Sir, I haven't read about it complete, sir. If you permit, I'll take a guess, sir.
Okay. India is going to host the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit this year. What is the importance of SCO for India?
So firstly, I think it helps us to realize our Connect Central Asia policy, where many Central Asian nations are part of SCO. So it can be a good forum for us to engage with those nations. Secondly, I think it would be a good forum for us to discuss with both Pakistan and China and can resolve our disputes to a greater extent. Also, SCO has its program called RATS, Regional Action Terrorism Strategy. So that can be of good use to control terrorism in the region. So.
Iran has been admitted as a member of the SCO, so it's like expanding westwards. And at the same time, another 5-member organization, that is the BRICS. Now there are more than a dozen countries which want to join BRICS also. What do you think is the reason why countries are suddenly interested, especially from West Asia, to join these organizations?
I think there are two reasons, sir. I think after the Ukraine war, I think many nations down global south are a bit hesitant to engage with the West. At the same time, also the geopolitical order is shifting towards Asia. At the same time, there's also a third reason where there have been fall of multilateral institutions under United Nations, such as the WTO or other organizations. So given these dynamics, I think these countries need to want to engage with the developing nations like China and India, which are also emerging economies. So that would be the reasons.
What is the benefit to SCO with Iran joining the organization?
So I think with Iran joining the organization, I think the supply chains, consider the fuel, can be proactive such that the energy security in the region could be propelled. So,
thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Pranav, you are from Guntur.
Yes, sir.
Guntur is famous for its red chillies.
Yes, sir.
Why the people eat also so much? The food is also very spicy. What is the reason?
So I think it's there in the culture, sir. I think the entire the Andhra Telangana region, I think they're quite rich in the cultivation of spices. At the same time, it's an intergenerational phenomenon that's happening, sir. Eating spices, they would think that it would improve their health. At the same time, I think Telugu people are taste lovers. They love to eat tasty food.
Okay.
So that would be.
Telugu people are taste lovers. The Telugu people are they're also the software techies. Most of them are from Andhra Pradesh, the restful Andhra Pradesh. What is so different in their ecosystem that they produce the maximum number of techies? And
so I think after the 1991 reforms, in the 1990s, the late 1990s, the then Honorable Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has created a proactive IT ecosystem in the city of Hyderabad. At the same time, there was this boom in education sector with the rise of engineering institutions, mainly towards computer science and communications. There was a ready-made skilled workforce in the nation, in the state. At the same time, many people are they have good arithmetic skills due to good primary, secondary sector in the state of Andhra Pradesh, in the erstwhile Andhra Pradesh. So I think even Chandrababu Naidu, the Honorable Chief Minister, then the Honorable Chief Minister, has stressed that Andhra Pradesh, the skilled workforce are good at English, at the same time they're good at arithmetic, which is a deadly combination. These are his words, such that it could promote the IT boom. So I think the education boom, at the same time the proactive IT sector policies has led to the rise of techies from Andhra Pradesh.
okay. See, Guntur's proximity to Amravati. Amravati was supposed to be made sole capital of the.
Yes, sir.
This would have led to development of Guntur Vijayawada belt,
Yes,
including Amravati. But now they have asked for 3 capitals formula. So, do you think it is setback to this Guntur region?
So I think the rationale for the government is to promote regional development in all the 3 regions, such that no region is left behind. So in these 3 capitals, legislative capital is still at Amravati, which could still promote development of Amravati given the investments that are happening in the region currently. So I don't think it can hurt the region of Amravati and Guntur, sir.
So Visakhapatnam was already very well developed. So no need. This area was not that developed. This Guntur belt.
But the geographical connectivity of Visakhapatnam makes it difficult, adds more burden on the administrative logistics. At the same time, Amravati being a region in the central part of the Andhra Pradesh is quite accessible to the northern region as well as the Rayalaseema region. At the same time, it has rich agricultural base and a good education sector that's developing there.
So okay, after transfer of this Hyderabad into Telangana, so how the state of Andhra Pradesh will become viable?
So I think currently post bifurcation, Hyderabad staying with Telangana. In the erstwhile state of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Hyderabad, city of Hyderabad was contributing up to 90% revenues in the service sector. So after the bifurcation, the service sector in the state of Andhra Pradesh has drastically come down with the transfer of Hyderabad region. At the same time, there has been out migration from the regions of Andhra Pradesh to the Hyderabad, which has led to significant loss in the human resource base. And thirdly, the investments, with Hyderabad being a single city-led development region, many investments have traveled to Hyderabad, such that it created a bit infrastructure deficit as well as the investment deficit in the region of Andhra Pradesh, creating non-viable finances.
Okay. See, this is the age of web series, OTT. Now, the films and other TV serials are all under Censorboard. They have a rule on. And there is no supervision of Censorboard on that OTT. Do you think that OTT should also be brought under Censorboard?
So I think the recent IT guidelines that we have announced, we have promoted for self-regulation of OTT. So I don't think it's too early to comment on the issue, because once self-regulation is in place, we need to check the outcomes that's happening. Later, I think we can decide on the censoring.
Yeah, but if you see any channel, even international series we see, there are a lot of sex, explicit scenes, violence, and even the cuss words, abusive language is used. Still, it is being used. So there is no self-regulation as such.
So I think the digital intermediaries or the OTT platforms are coming with parental locks. They're also coming with certain disclaimers and warnings. At the end of the day, I think it's a matter of informed choice. So I think rather than state involving in this thing, it needs to be left to the informed choice of the citizens. But if it proves detrimental to our nation's causes, I think then we can explore this option of censoring, sir.
So you use no censor on this?
Currently, I don't think it's needed, sir.
Okay. One last question. There was a news recently that the sales of non-smartphone, dumb phones, has been doubled in the last year. So who's buying these non-smartphones now, after being used to smartphones for a long time?
Sir, I'm not aware of the issue, sir.
But suppose you're given a choice to have a smartphone and dumb phone, but what will you prefer?
I would have a smartphone, sir.
Then there is issue of privacy and your data being used by so many agencies. So how you view that?
So I think it's the responsibility of the state to make sure that the privacy of the citizens is protected through proper data protection policies. But
if you download any app, there's so many things. Agree. You have to agree to everything.
There's this consent fatigue.
You have to agree anything. Even if you are talking to me, your phone is listening. And if I'll go out, they will give you some session which institute to go, because they are listening. You have come here. So how do you view that?
So I still believe the state has a major role to play in this, because given the technical needs of the present age, the inter-sectoral collaborations that are happening, our dependence on social media and other apps, I think it's difficult to stay out of it, to stay ourselves isolated. So I think the state has major role.
But many people are moving. It is not the lower class only. It is the people who are using earlier smartphones. They are moving into dumb phones.
I'll have to look into these things, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, ma'am.
You're fine?
Yes, ma'am.
You're from Andhra Pradesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do so many people from Andhra Pradesh choose to migrate abroad? And, there are hordes of people from the Telangana, Andhra Pradesh region who are abroad. What is the reason?
So one would be the cultural issue, because the kind of movies that are being made in Andhra Pradesh, in the Telugu film industry, also the trend in the families, the way they think that life abroad would be more fruitful, more prosperous, given the peer pressure or the family pressure that the people are facing. That would be one reason, ma'am. And secondly, I think after the IT sector boom in Andhra Pradesh, with the development of Hyderabad, people became more aware of opportunities abroad. So that would be another reason, ma'am.
You were not attracted to migrate?
No, ma'am. I wanted to stay with my parents.
You wanted to stay with your parents. So tell me, these people who live abroad and take nationality of other countries, does the government of India have any policy to engage with them? The people of Indian origin who live abroad.
I don't remember the name. Sorry, we have a Pravasi Bharatiya Divas thing. Also, the Pravasis, we are engaging with them. We have a biennial conference that is for every 2 years. Also, we are
every 2 years. Are you sure?
Biennial conference, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas.
Pravasi Bharatiya Divas.
So we are engaging through those platforms, ma'am. Secondly, also we have this we are also issuing cards for OIC, for the persons of Indian origin, or the NRI cards, such that they could come and engage with the.
Is it called NRI card or something else?
I couldn't remember.
You couldn't remember. Okay. So, do you remember something called Vande Bharat mission?
Yes, ma'am.
What was it?
It's the evacuation project by the union government during COVID-19 to evacuate people from regions, other nations, such that they don't be susceptible to infection.
Okay. So you think it is, why should government of India spend money and so much effort to evacuate these people from abroad? After all, they didn't ask government's permission to go abroad, right? They knew about all the risks involved. Should the government be so involved in this business, or?
I think we promote a welfare state. Our constitution is based on welfare state, ma'am. So I think the state has this moral responsibility. At the same time, it shows the credentials of good governance of our country. So I think it is quite essential. It is essential, ma'am, because after all, they are Indians. So we have that responsibility.
We have a responsibility. So you have written here, writing narrative essays in English.
Yes, ma'am.
So which is an essay which you wrote, which you're really proud of? Tell us something about that.
Recently, I have written an essay on my visit to Amritsar. So I have titled the essay as Amritsar, the Sangam of Spirituality, Swaraj and Sacrifice. So I have talked about those three places, the Jallianwala Bagh, the Golden Temple, and Wagah border, where the Wagah border stands for the principles of sacrifice of the soldiers. The Golden Temple stands for spirituality, and Jallianwala Bagh stands for the principle of Swaraj. So I've talked about my feelings there. I've gone with my friends, so the feelings that they have gone through. So I've received a lot of applause for it. Many friends have called me saying that they became emotional after reading the essay.
So do you post your essays? Do you have a blog or something? Or
I post it on my Instagram platform.
Your Instagram platform. So the Wagah is in Pakistan side, right? What is there on the Indian side? Atari. Right. So did you see the flag ceremony there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you been following what's happening in Israel?
Yes, ma'am.
What is happening? What's happening there?
Currently, there are the protests against the government for certain certain steps they have taken that is related to judiciary. For example, the role of parliament in dealing with the judgments of the court, judicial appointments, which they allege that it tampers the independence of judiciary. So currently, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is facing pressure from the protesters on this issue.
Right. India was in the UN Security Council. From which period to which period? Do you remember?
If you permit me, I'll take a guess, ma'am.
Yeah.
From 2019 to 2021, if I'm not wrong.
And what is the reform proposal that India has put forward? What is the logic behind it? What is India saying?
I'll have to look into this issue.
You have to look into it. Okay. So last question, what is JCPOA? Do you recall?
it's a nuclear deal that the P5 nations of UNSC have dealt with Iran, which stands for Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, such that Iran's nuclear program couldn't prove detrimental to the global security. It put some limitations on the enrichment of uranium in Iran. At the same time, it puts some restrictions on the. It ensures element of accountability on nuclear plants in Iran.
Does it
IAEA.
still exist? Does it exist?
I couldn't recollect it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Pranav, your formal interview is over now. How do you think you've done today?
So I think I've answered some questions well, sir. Some questions I think I need to brush my content. Previously, I used to talk a bit fast. I think today I've scaled down as per my understanding. I've scaled it down to some extent, but I think I need to work more, sir.
Okay.
I'm working on my pace of answering questions.
Okay. And when is your interview scheduled?
April 12th, sir.
12th April. You've got a month to go. So you can keep on brushing and you can keep on practicing your pace. I think it was perfectly fine today. If you want, you can, reduce it a little more. But otherwise, it was perfect.
Actually, I have this natural trait of speaking fast, sir.
So it's perfectly fine. You be natural. You can't. You were very good. You were excellent today, and you've done very well. You've got a very wide knowledge base, and you can compose your answers very well. So you should do well. Only thing is this thing, when you put on a tie, you need to tie your button. If you put on a tie, but by April 12th, I think you may not need to wear a suit or something. It will look too hot. But if you do wear a suit and a tie, then you can, shut
I felt a bit suffocated, sir, so I had to remove the button.
So you'll have to work out something, maybe buy a loose collared shirt, which is the neck is slightly bigger, so that this button needs to be tight, otherwise it looks unkempt.
Sure, sir.
Untidy.
Sure, sir.
And polish your shoes, and I think you'll do well.
Thank you, sir.
One thing I want to say, this volume is slightly higher because volume of our voice should be as per the rooms.
Yes, sir.
If you are in a bigger place, you have to little. If you can reduce the pitch, if you can do that, sure. Otherwise you remain normal, natural. Sure. Reduce a bit.
Good. You have done well.
Thank you, sir.
And just before entering the room, just check your collars and other things.
And this is because the mic has been placed collars.
Yes, I haven't observed it, sir.
You use, for example, too many times. For example.
I just want to personalize my answers, so
it's okay. But
it's okay.
You just be little
formal, sir.
Conscious. Otherwise, don't worry. But something has been noted. Something has been noted. So you must.
I'll work on it, sir. I'll work on it, sir.
Good. Fine.
Good luck.
All the best.
You should do very well.
Thank you, sir.
Just keep on reading the newspapers and update your knowledge.
Sure, sir.
Read the newspapers on the day of the interview also. Because people are generally, the board members are likely to ask you questions from there. Okay. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.